Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Stahls TV broadcast of Increasing School Spirit Sales with the Faux Pocket. I'm excited to talk to you all today about this new trending design that's really gained popularity just in time for the school season as we're just starting to gear up for the fall. If this is your first time attending a live Stahls TV class, there's a couple things I like to cover before we jump in and get started to help give you the kind of live attention that we like with these classes. So to start, on the right-hand side of your screen, you're going to notice a chat log or a questions log. Those will allow you to chat in questions throughout the class. I have a facilitator here helping me, Jody Edgar, with Stahls TV, and she's going to help to just kind of take those questions and facilitate them in, or she'll answer them throughout the session. So if you have something you're wondering about design work, heat transfers, or anything as we're going, feel free to chat those into her. Additionally, we'll also have some Stahls TV staff. Joe Kaczynski is going to be helping in and out of the shots to make sure we can get zoomed in angles on how I'm decorating, how I'm applying, and how I'm lining up these faux pockets, since that tends to be one of the difficult areas with alignment with these types of graphics. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump in. So the faux pocket is kind of a new trend that started late last fall, early summer, so we're really starting to see it kick up for the school season. We saw it in the spring, and we're going to see it continue to carry over. If you haven't seen the pocket t-shirts recently, they traditionally have been sewn-on pockets with patterns and fills and different unique finishes on t-shirts. So the heat press and heat transfer materials like we're going to show you today give you a unique opportunity to create a pocket look that meets that trend, but also offer more finishes like glitter finishes, foil finishes, custom patterns in a unique way just with the heat press, and you won't need an embroidery machine or applique. And it's fast and it's easy. So before we get started and really start diving into the looks and the finishes that we can create, we have to understand the artwork. So one question I always get on Stahls TV classes is about the artwork and how we create those types of finishes. So I'm going to show you a software called Cadworx Live. Jody, could you switch over to the Cadworx Live screen? Great. So when you start creating artwork for these types of processes, whether you're cutting it yourself using a vinyl cutter or creating custom transfers to create your designs, one tool I always use, especially if you're a Stahls or Transfer Express customer and have set up an account, it's free to use, so I encourage you to jump on and check out the Cadworx Live software. It's just simply cadworxlive.com. And what you're seeing on the main screen here is basically just the design portal. So once I log in here and create my account, I'm just going to launch the Design Studio. And within the Design Studio, it's going to have a variety of templates, clip art, and text. So one of the difficult things with, of course, creating a faux pocket is getting that pocket clip art or that pocket design. So to keep you from having to Google or create your own artwork, the template's already built up and set right here in Cadworx Live. So while we're in the Cadworx Live software, if this is your first time seeing this, there's a variety of tutorials that walk you through all the ins and outs of Cadworx Live on stahlstv.com, so you can jump on there later and really learn how to use this in your business and how it can be a valuable tool for you. So to pull up the pocket template, I'm just going to go over to the template section on the left-hand side of my screen. It's all web-based, so it is going to work completely with a web browser and Wi-Fi. So as long as your computer that's connected to your vinyl cutter or that you're using, you're just designing on to send your artwork to Stahls or another custom provider, all you need is just for it to be web-based. You don't need anything downloaded to your computer to access this software. Once I'm inside here, you can see on the left-hand side some of the different templates that I can choose from. I'm going to just search up here on the right-hand side of the screen. One of the nice things about the search tool for Cadworx Live is it keeps me from having to scroll through any extra artwork if all I want to do is find a pocket. So if I search for the pocket template, it's going to bring up two different designs. One is just a standard chevron pocket, kind of a specialty thing. The other one you'll see says LC Pocket. This is a really great left chest pocket size that's already built into Cadworx Live, and we can kind of personalize and customize from there using this template. I'm just going to double click on the pocket to open it up into my main screen. One thing that you're going to notice as we start to set up our artwork for this is it actually has the sizing already spaced out. Most pocket prints are going to be about 4.25 to 4.5 inches wide and deep. So here we're looking about 4.3 by 4.3 for the size of this pocket. And this is for your traditional ladies and adult size pockets. As we start to move towards children's pockets, we'll see that it gets a little bit smaller. But this is the standard size for the left chest layout if you want a pocket design. I'm going to just delete off the square boxes here so I can kind of edit my design with just my artwork part. So once I have the artwork selected, the BDG here is just kind of simulating what it would look like if I customized it with some school initials. So I could, of course, just quickly switch that out if I like the way that design looks to my specific school. I can select the text and size it down. If I'm creating a multicolor graphic, I'm able to change my color, or if I'm doing full color, I can do so as well. One of the other cool tools you're going to see throughout the entire class that I'm not only showing single color designs, is I'm going to show a lot of patterns and prints and different fills and things that you can do with custom transfers like CAD prints, digital transfers, and express print, as well as just some chevron prints with glitter finishes. So one of the neat things if you start to move into full color patterns and full color prints is that you can actually select the pocket and edit the fill of the design. So as we start to really look into some really cool, unique, full color pockets that really kind of show that same pattern finish that we're getting throughout the marketplace right now, what's really trending, I can actually select my fill button, go over to textures, and anything that I've dropped in or that I want to drop into my design. So let's say I have this chevron print. I can drop that into my pocket, so now my print, whenever I go to send it to my printer or send my design, is actually going to have that pattern or that fill. So it's really going to allow me some really cool and really unique custom options for decorating these pockets. So I encourage you, once we jump off here and you get some really great ideas of what you'd like to show your customers, to dive into Cadworx Live, use this pocket template to create your artwork, and really customize them. Now, you can send this directly to your cutter from here if you have cuttable art, or you can send it directly to Stahls for cut and print for yourself. So it allows you to do all of your decoration right here in Cadworx Live. So that kind of covers the software, Jody. We're going to go back over to the main screen. Perfect. I think you all can see me now. We'll give it a minute to kick over, and we're really going to dive into the decoration and what we can create and what markets and which ways to sell to schools with this faux pocket design and some unique finishes there. So I'm going to head over to my heat press. Joe's going to jump in to assist me a little bit so we can get a nice close-up angle. There we go. So my first design, I'm actually going to be using CAD Cut Glitter Flake. Most popular for creating a lot of these faux pocket prints. You're going to see me use this a lot for either full print or a chevron print. This specific faux pocket was created in Cadworx Live, and again, I dropped in that chevron pattern so I could create the nice fill that I was looking for and create that trending look. Chevrons is one of those patterns that just seems to be getting bigger and bigger. To make it easier for me to weed, you will notice that I've left a small outline on my design. So just a little tip as you're actually creating these transfers yourself with your vinyl cutter and your heat press to make that easier. I did it that way with the pocket. So I'm just going to load my garment onto my heat press. I'm going to be using a lot of slim ladies cut garments, while we'll look at a few designs for men's garments. Most of these are trending more towards females, especially with the glitter heat transfer material. So to do that, I'm just going to change out my bottom platen before we get started. I just undid the latch here on the Fusion heat press. If you have any of the newer models of the Hotronix, you'll notice either a gold or gray latch. It's actually right underneath your heat press. And if you have interchangeable platens to make it easier for printing a lot of these designs, I can switch that out and drop in a smaller size. So once I have that loaded in there, I'll lock it back into place. I'm going to thread my garment on and start my first design. So to size up the size of your design in the pocket, the most difficult part is always alignment. Where does the left chest go? It's one of those things that decorators challenge with, even with left chest logos in general, instead of just where a pocket should be. So we're going to talk about a few different sizing guidelines and ways to kind of line up the graphic so that it shows up in the right position. It's not too far over center or too far over underneath the arm. So to start, what I'm going to do is I have a couple of rulers here. Depending on the size of your shirt, where the graphic's going to go is going to change. Of course, a ladies small or ladies medium is very different from a adult large or an adult medium that has a lot more mass. So What I'm going to do first is I'm going to find the center of my design. So I can do this just by finding the center with the crew neck of the shirt. And I'm actually just going to use this one ruler here just to give me my center line down the center of my platen. So alignment for a ladies medium, I'm going to be looking to go about 2 inches down on the shirt, which is going to fall me right about here on the 2 inches down from the crew neck, I should say, of the shirt. Of course, if you're a V-neck, you don't want to go down to that far. And then I'm going to move over about 1.5 inches. So I've got my second ruler here. I'm going to move that over about 1.5 inches. And that gives me my placement there for my graphic. Of course, if you have heat seal tape and you want to size these up on a table before bringing them over to your heat press, you could do so. If you're going to be printing a lot of these garments, one thing I really recommend is purchasing maybe a laser alignment tool or developing a template for your graphic, and that's going to allow you the ability to easily press them down in one box because you have that, you won't have to line them up with a ruler every time. So Cadcut Glitter Flake applies at 320 degrees for 10 seconds. Once this is complete, we're going to actually complement this design with a matching back print. Of course, as you start printing more for schools and different markets, being able to add more print locations is always a huge benefit, especially with the glitter materials, and we start decorating with the pocket print, being able to complement the chevron print on the back as well. So now that we have our completed faux pocket, I'm just going to spin around my garment, and I'm going to heat print the back design for this shirt. Give it a quick preheat, get some of the moisture and wrinkles out. Always want to preheat your garments just to make sure to get the moisture out. I think I skipped it on the first step, so want to be careful to make sure we do that. Now when I line up the back print, I want to be about 3 to 4 inches down from the high neck part of the shirt. Sometimes I use the shoulders and the sleeves to also make sure I'm in between the two and not too far down. And then again, I'm just going to tack it up for another 10 seconds. So as you're creating these faux pockets in your design software and you're thinking about ways to sell these to your customers, keep in mind that you always want to try to personalize the front and the back and find ways to complement that. You know, mixing it with a similar design on the back that matches, especially with patterns. So we have one complete design then for a school, and an easy one-color design for using Cadcut Glitter Flake. So using Cadcut Glitter Flake, you're able to get a really good one-color design that stands out and that's very blingy. This is probably the most popular material being used today on the market for these faux pockets. Cost-wise, as we start to really look into this, if you're cutting this yourself using your vinyl cutter, the cost of this pocket would cost you about 40 cents in material. And then your back design is going to cost you about 90 cents. So you're looking at, say, $1.50 in material cost for the full front and back. And it gives you a nice completed finish on there. So now that I have my first design, of course, I want to take it to the next level and look at a similar design with the chevron patterns, the faux pocket, and monogramming. So for my next design, I'm actually going to use 2 colors of Cadcut Glitter Flake to create a print that stands out and has more of a unique finish to it, and it's kind of an upgraded look. Consequently, I'm also going to be printing this very similar transfer using a full color digital logo. So you can kind of see how the logo can change depending on the material you're using and what's available to you. Obviously, using a glitter material like this, I want to keep my detail to a minimum. Also my color count, which is why I've kind of decreased this down to just 2 colors. And change the monogram just to be one initial instead of the multiples because the lines are a little bit too detailed. So keep that in mind whenever you're creating a lot of this artwork, but monogramming and the pocket prints with this glitter material really can upgrade to make a nice look for different markets, especially schools. So again, the same principles apply. I'm just going to load my garment onto my heat press. This time I'm actually using a small garment. So I want to preheat to get some of the moisture and wrinkles out. And then I'm going to line up my pocket print. Now smalls are going to be just a hair over towards the center since there's not quite as much material with them. So again, I'm just going to grab my rulers. Find the center of my shirt. I typically will pull the shirt center, obviously, with the platen, and then top with the heat press, so I'm getting a nice flat full print if I'm printing it this style. Once I found my center, which is the line going right down the edge of my ruler there, I'm going to go again about 2 inches down, and then I'm just going to go over about an inch instead of an inch and a half for this small shirt. It's a little bit smaller. Now when I go to print this graphic, obviously I can't print the two colors together because the carriers are overlapping. Anytime you go to do two color images like this and you're noticing that the two carriers are overlapping, you're going to want to heat apply them separately. I'm just going to take my fluorescent yellow color off. Don't want to lose my placement too much. Line up my graphic. Now once you get 2 inches down and about an inch over, I can't do anything about alignment, so you want to make sure your transfer is pretty straight. With the pocket prints, that's why a laser alignment tool might be helpful. For this first layer, I'm just going to tack it for 5 quick seconds. That'll help to reduce the time it's on the heat press so I can speed up my second application. Peel back that carrier hot. And then remember, glitter flake needs a full 10 seconds, so I'm just going to line up that bottom layer there. I have a little bit of glitter exposed. I just want to use a cover sheet just to protect it. Anytime you're worried about a heat transfer material being exposed to the heater and sticking to it, you'll want to use a cover sheet to protect that. And I'm going to seal the 2 layers for just 10 seconds at 320 degrees. Peel back that carrier and we have a completed design. Just to change the colors up a little bit from the gold color of the logo, I went ahead and offered a fluorescent glitter flake material. So it's fluorescent yellow and CAD cut glitter flake. It just creates a little bit more popular look, especially if you're starting to sell to schools or cheer teams. The fluorescents tend to sell a little bit better and command a higher price for the products. So just like with the other garment, of course, I want to personalize the back with a similar chevron design, just to add more print location. So I'm going to spin it, preheat the back, and then I have another 2-color design that's going to complement that pocket. So to line up my first graphic, I'm just going to go another 4 inches down from the back of the top of the shirt. Tack this down for 5 seconds. Again, if you go ahead and shorten that first application, it does make it easier to line up this graphic since the outline is a little bit tight. I have a little glitter flake exposed, so I want to make sure to cover it with a cover sheet. And then I'm just going to tack it for the full 10 seconds. Lift the press, and then I can peel back that carrier, and I have a completed design. So now we have the front of the pocket as well as the back completely personalized on this lady's garment. So you can see how the glitter flake again just pops, mixing and matching the 2 colors. As we start to talk about pricing for these types of designs, if you're using a vinyl cutter, the pricing is going to be very similar because the graphic sizes were the same. We're looking about 9 inches by 5 inches on the back, and then just our 4x3 wide and 4x3 high for my pocket print on the front. Judy, have I gotten any questions throughout this so far?
There is a question. How far in from the center was the left chest logo?
Okay, so the question was how far from the center was the left chest. On this small ladies fit garment, which is from San Marsh, it's one of their concert tees, so it's a little bit slimmer fit. We were looking at about an inch over from the center of the shirt to keep the pocket within the distance. One way to size up these graphics that I find most efficient, if you're not sure the size of your graphic, is once you find that center point, which I'm doing right here with my first ruler, you want to measure the width between the center of your shirt and the sleeve of the shirt. So with here, if I'm looking at about 2 inches down, I'm looking at about 6.5 inches of material in between the two. So I know I've got about 4.5 inches of a transfer. I need to have about an inch on each side for it to be pretty much center with the center of the shirt and the sleeve of the shirt for this pocket. So that's why I go over about an inch for that small. With the medium ladies cut shirt that was from the same vendor, I'd actually done about 1.5 inches over. So again, I would just use that metric of middle line and then halfway between the pocket or the sleeve of the shirt and the center of the shirt for aligning the pocket on the front. Any other questions, Jody, before I go to another garment?
No other questions.
Okay, perfect. So as you start to really dive in more to pattern fills and different finishes that you can create, you may want to move to what's called a full color transfer to be able to add more colors or more prints or really fine detail, especially with monogramming. So what I have here is I'm actually going to print a full color monogram that's been printed in Cadworx Express Print. So if you have a solvent printer like a Roland VersaCam, you can actually print these logos yourself. If you don't have a solvent ink printer like a Roland, then you would have to order these from Stahls and what they call their CAD Prints product. But the good news is you have the transfers and they're available to you to offer these to your customers. So creating pocket prints on a tank top like this is going to be a little bit different from the t-shirt when we're looking at where the graphic goes on the garment versus the t-shirt. So one thing you're going to notice, of course, is the fact that the scoop of this shirt is significantly lower than the crew neck shirt that we were just applying to. So if I go 2 inches down here, I'm going to be somewhere close to the belly button. So I want to keep the graphic up a little bit higher when I'm putting the pocket on a razorback tank like this. So I'll thread it onto my heat press. Of course, threading is very helpful with a razor tank like this to prevent any kind of print through or inaccurate pressure you might get from the razor back of the shirt. Now that I have that loaded on there and my garment is loaded on straight, I'll give it a quick preheat before I load up my transfer for the application. And then when I go to line up this graphic, let me grab my handy rulers one more time. Since I'm moving a bunch of different sizes, I thought the rulers would be the most efficient to show you how to line them up and to do it correctly and straight. So for this, I'm just going to find the center of my shirt with the center of my design. And then I'm going to go actually about 1 inch down and 1 inch over. I'll flip this so I can get my inch side there. So from the top of the seam, I'm actually going to go 1 inch down and 1 inch over from the center. About right there. Once I have that in position, that's 1 down, 1 over. Make sure I've got it nice and center, or nice and straight. And then I can lock it for the full application. So Express Print applies for 15 seconds at 320 degrees. So I'm just going to change the timer here on the front of my Fusion heat press. And once this application is complete, I can peel it hot and I've got a completed full color pattern design. as you start selling to customers and offering these prints and these patterns, of course you can show them what you can really do, by showing them the glitter version or just a typical matte full color version with CAD print. So the options are available whether they want tank tops, t-shirts. It's all about alignment and kind of your creativity and what you're able to create for your customers with that. So moving along, I'm going to show you a couple other full color options that I find really exciting and that are really gaining popularity, especially in the faux pocket market. So one of the things about pockets in general is, of course, the fact that they're sewn applique. So they have kind of a premium finish to them and kind of a fabric feel to it. So this is actually a printed twill material that you can order from Stahls called Cadworx Perma Twill. They have two different options. The one here that I'm showing on the right-hand side of the screen is just the Perma Twill product. So it kind of just has a normal glossy printed finish. The other one that's really unique is a textured twill. So it kind of gives you a finish that's almost like an applique fabric. But you can get this finish with just your heat press. You don't need to sew it or anything like that. It's a premium fabric finish. So I'm going to apply the Cadworx Perma Twill product first using just another print. So this print, again, I just created this artwork in Cadworx Live, dropped in the tribal pattern fill as well as the font here, like you had seen when I created the artwork in the beginning of the session, and then sent this straight to Stahls to be printed. So you're able to create that artwork yourself very easily and order a digital transfer. So again, load my garment, preheat to get some of the moisture and wrinkles out. This garment is the same size as the one we printed to start with, so it's a ladies medium, very slim cut garment, so different from an adult medium. I'm just going to make sure to do the 2 inches down and 2 inches over that I need for this medium shirt so the pocket ends up in the right place. So I'll pull my shirt center so I know where I'm starting here. And I'm just going to use my center line here from the bottom of the crew neck of the shirt. Once I have that in place, I'm going to grab my second ruler and then go another 2 inches over. So 2 inches down, 2 inches over, and that's where the pocket I have should be starting. Now, one thing to keep in mind as you start to print these types of transfers, if you're worried about this transfer sliding, you want to make sure it's going to stay straight. You could easily tack it down with a heat seal tape. That's just a blue tape that's going to hold it in place. But remember that because it's exposed and you have a print on top of there, you want to be sure to use a cover sheet. And that'll help to protect the inks from transferring to the top of the press. This transfer traditionally applies at 350 degrees for 15 seconds. As you can see, I'm down a little low at 320 for this application because of the glitter flake. So I'm just going to press it for a full 20 seconds. Of course, you'd want to make sure to follow the full recommended applications if you were applying this for your customers and sending it out the door so it stays nice and durable. So you can see now why I've used the cover sheet. Some of the inks have transferred to this paper. Obviously wouldn't want that on my press, so it would transfer to my next garment, but we have a completed pocket print. So it's got a nice fabric feel to it. If you haven't seen this product, I would encourage you to go to Stahls.com and request a sample of Cadworx Perma Twill just to kind of see how it feels, but it's a printed twill material, really creates a unique finish. So just to offer a different look and feel to your customers, I really like the way the bright colors show up on this textured twill and kind of give almost an embroidered finish to it, which is really popular, of course, with monogramming and pocket prints. So I'm just going to load another razor back tank on. If you're playing along at home, you remember that razor tanks, you want to be cautious of going 2 inches down so you're not too far. So I'm just going to find that center again of my shirt. I'm going to go about 1 inch down, which is about right here. I know it's a little difficult to see on my clear ruler, which is why I'm using that as my center line. And then I'm going to go about 1 inch over. So one, and then I can line my transfer up. This one follows the same guidelines as Cadworx Perma Twill as well as the same application, so you want to make sure to follow that when you order in your transfers. I'm just going to cover this one more time to protect my heat press, since the inks will transfer, and apply it for that full application. Once we complete this, we'll take a look at these two designs, and then we'll answer a few other questions if you have them, so feel free to chat those into Jody as we're going along here. So again, just two different options you can offer your customers with these types of pocket prints. We've got t-shirts, tank tops, as well as a textured and a regular print. Jody, do I have any questions while we're looking at those?
I have a few questions.
Okay.
The printed pocket, would it bleed onto the cover sheet? Do you have to be careful not to have part of the cover sheet touch the garment on the twill?
The question was about the cover sheet, so I would, you definitely want to make sure to use a cover sheet to protect this item. Since you only have a little pocket, if you're worried about throwing away too many cover sheets, you could just cut off that extra area. I have a pack of them sitting here, so I'm able to use new cover sheets every time, but of course the inks from that cover sheet would then transfer onto this garment if they were still on that cover sheet. Questions? Okay, great. Okay.
Can film or rhinestones be pressed onto the twill pocket?
That's a great question. So the question was, can film or rhinestones be added to the pocket? And they can, since it's just a polyester fabric, as long as the vinyl or the rhinestones you're applying to can be used. They can be used directly on top of this twill product. I wish I would have thought of that because it's a pretty cool design idea, so kudos to you. We'll take these off here. We'll start on another design for schools. Any other questions, Jody?
Yes. On the twill ones, are they solvent or sublimated ink?
The twill ones are actually a sublimated ink.
And no other questions.
Okay, perfect. So again, I've showed you a lot of designs right now for schools for women's apparel, but the pocket is still trending in men's apparel as well. So I'm going to use an adult men's tee, which you can see is significantly larger than some of the slimmer ladies' cut. So the alignment of this is going to be a bit different. I am actually going to switch out my platen to a 16 by 20. That's just going to make my alignment a lot easier for myself with that big garment. So again, just a quick change of the latch. I'm going to grab my 16 by 20. And it just drops right in with a pin registration. Lock that in place. I'll thread on my t-shirt and we can start the alignment. Now, of course, I want to offer a different finish and a different print for the man. I can't imagine he might want the glitter, but I'm going to show them a little bit something different, a different feel, really a different finish that would work for men and women. It's actually our CAD cut flock. So the flock is kind of a unique suede-like heat transfer material. It's got a soft finish to it. So again, it's giving you kind of that fabric premium finish that you're looking for with a lot of these garments. And it's a bit more masculine as well. So I've just created kind of a school look. So as you really get creative with your designs, thinking of patterns and different designs, this might be a great idea for a baseball shirt or a spirit shirt for baseball, since it's got kind of a home plate feel and the number drawn in there for the gentleman. I'm going to just preheat. We got a lot of wrinkles in there. Also gives me a chance to check my pressure since I had adjusted the platen back to my 16 by 20. And I'll just do that with the over-the-center pressure adjustment knob. Looks like I need a little bit more there, so I'll twist it a few more times. And that gives me my medium firm pressure I need for this transfer. So again, if you're worried about this transfer sliding and moving, you could use a heat seal tape to hold it down since it doesn't have a sticky backing. Grab my handy rulers here for my adult shirt. And I'm going to just go ahead and size up my center of my design. So again, I'm finding the center of the shirt using my tag and my crew neck of the garment. Now, if you remember from the ladies' garment, I had actually measured the size between the distance of my shoulder and the distance of my shirt. So when you're doing adult-sized shirts and large garments like this, you're going to go further down from the crew than just 2 inches since you want the pocket to fall somewhere around this area. So I'm looking at about 4 inches down on this garment. When I go 4 inches down, I'm looking at about 9 inches of material that I'm working with here. So that's about 3 inches more than any of the ladies' garments we're looking at. So I'm going to go about 2 inches over with my 4-inch pocket. And I want to be careful. You can notice what I've done here is I've actually created a pocket, and then I've personalized the top of it. So I want to make sure the top of my pocket and not the personalization area is at the 4-inch mark. Of course, if you were decorating a pocket or printing above a pocket, you know where the pocket would be on the shirt wouldn't change even if you were personalizing the top. So the same principle applies here when you're lining up that graphic. So now I have that in place. I'm just going to apply it for the recommended application. CAD Cut Flock applies at 320 degrees for 10 seconds. Again, this is just another heat transfer material you could buy in a roll and cut on a vinyl cutter or have cut for you in transfers. It comes single color. It is a cold peel, so I'm going to give it a few seconds to cool down here. Give it a couple shakes. I could take it off the heat press and cool it down using the steel or the table to the side if I'm in a little bit of a hurry. Of course, if you're going to be printing a lot of these, and I imagine that you guys will, as you're selling to schools and teams, you would just set them all aside and go back and peel them later. This gives kind of a really cool grassy pocket effect to the shirt. So something really unique and different for personalizing with the Faux Pocket. Judy, have we gotten any questions in since our last garment?
We actually have a few follow-ups with the rhinestones on the pockets.
Okay.
Would you put the rhinestones directly on the transfer, or does it have to be where the fabric shows only?
I'm sorry, the question was with the rhinestones?
The rhinestones can be pressed on the twill pocket. Do you put it directly on the transfer, or does it have to be where the fabric shows only?
If you're putting rhinestones directly on the Faux Pocket, you could put it either on the garment or the pocket across the two. The rhinestones would just have to stick to a cotton or polyester fabric. So as long as the garment could have the rhinestones adhere to it, it would go across the entire thing. But the rhinestones will stick to that polyester pocket.
And one more question. The fabric texture vinyl, can it be printed with eco solvent ink?
The textured material cannot be printed with solvent ink. It doesn't actually have a receptive on top of the twill material to receive solvent ink, so it has to be a sublimation ink. Of course, if you don't have a sublimation printer, you could easily order transfers from Stahls printed for you, ready to go.
No other questions.
Okay, perfect. So far we've looked at a lot of really great designs for already increasing your school sales. So we've looked at the flock heat transfer material, and I'll zoom in a little bit here on the table so you guys can get a closer look to the garments as we start to walk through them. So we use the flock heat transfer material, and this product was kind of just really good for men, has a suede soft finish to it. I prefer the green color, but of course there's a variety of shades as you start selling to different schools. We looked at a couple options for creating the pattern twill material. So this was the Perma Twill, which is the first fabric product we had pressed, the standard finish. And then we have the textured finish, so when you really create a unique kind of embroidered fabric pocket look that's really premium on the Razorback tank. I don't think I had mentioned the pricing on this specific transfer yet. So these transfers, whether it's a Perma Twill or the textured twill, you would be looking at about $4 for this transfer from Stahls printed. So it follows the same CAD prints Perma Twill pricing range that is available by the square inch pricing. So no matter what color count you have, no matter what the design looks like, you're always going to pay for that specific size of the design. And then we also had a couple really unique glitter heat transfer products, and we talked a little bit about the pricing there with the one color and the two colors. So those are some unique finishes so far that we've already got into for the school spirit market. As you start to sell more to schools, spirit wear, and different finishes, we're going to talk about of course, groups and more items and more garments that you can print and design ideas for these. So as you start selling to schools, you may have colleges in your area and you may be licensed to print for Greek markets. Jody, do we have a poll question on what markets they're selling to? Of course, I love the Faux Pocket so much, I want to be able to translate it into what other markets we can sell to in addition to schools. The kind of are groups or different segments of the school market, so dance teams, cheer teams, as well as Greek markets. So if you guys want to go ahead and answer that poll to help me give me an idea of which one of you are selling to those types of markets. Give it a couple minutes there before we close that out. right, Jody, we're looking at there.
We have 6% are children's apparel,
Okay.
13% are men's and sheer, 3% are Greek, and 77% are schools.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to look at two different designs for the Greek market, although a lot of you aren't selling and aren't licensed to this yet. One of them is a different material. The other one's kind of just some unique finishes. So I want to be able to show you them. They translate well into all markets in different groups, even just the regular schools or cheer or dance also. So with that, I'm going to look at one of my favorites that's really unique for the pockets, and that's a full glitter pocket. So I'm going to head back over to my heat press there. Joe's going to help me out by getting me a nice close angle. Then I'm going to load on my lady's garment. Once I have my garment loaded on there, I'm just going to press the front pocket. So kind of the reverse of what we had done earlier with that AGHS single color pocket. This one's actually a full glitter pocket. The reason I love this so much, if you've ever cut, weeded, and dealt with the glitter flake, is it makes it incredibly easy to weed. And that glitter pocket really pops off and really stands out. So I actually just weeded out the size of the center of my design. I'm just going to give it a quick preheat before I line this up. Always get those moisture and wrinkles out when possible. Grab my handy rulers just to make sure everything's centered and where it needs to be. So this is another ladies medium garment. So I'm going to go center of my shirt, 2 inches down, 2 inches over. So looking at about right here. And I'll line that pocket up. I'll take my rulers off. Don't want to heat press with those on there. And then I'll apply this for the full application. Again, just another 10 seconds, 320 degrees. If you're using Catgut Glitter Flake and you haven't seen this color wave before, this is actually the hologram silver, so it kind of has an iridescence to it. Really nice upgraded silver for, especially if you're mixing it with teal garments like this. So I'd encourage you to check it out. That gives me my full nice glitter pocket ready to go with a monogram or a mascot or school name weeded out of the inside. And then just like with the other designs I had done in the glitter flake, I just want to put a quick print on the back to add that personalization to the front and the back. If you have a vinyl cutter, it makes it so incredibly easy while you have that roll on there to just go ahead and cut the front and a back design. So I would always recommend, again, just selling those areas to your customers. For this monogram design, I'm just going to go about 4 inches down on the back of the shirt again, center with my garment, and I'll press it for those 10 seconds.
The EK.
I would have to check on the font. I know it's a monogram font that was purchased, so it's not available. The font itself is not available in Cadworx Live. But one of the great things about Cadworx Live is if you are into monogramming in different fonts, you're able to actually upload and import any design, any font directly into Cadworx Live and cut and design from there. So you're not limited on what's just available in that software. So again, we have the pocket on the front, completely personalized, and then the back print as well to kind of max it and mix it up a little bit. Okay, so with glitter prints, of course, foils are very popular as well. So as you start to offer more finishes or you're looking for more ways to take designs to the next level, we have another customized pocket using our Fashion Film Electric. It's just a metallic foil material, very soft, very durable, and so it gives that really unique finish to it. So I'm just going to load this lady's garment on one more time. This garment's a little bit unique. Print the front of it. This garment's a little bit unique from the other t-shirts I've been printing, as it's a sparkle t-shirt from J America. So just another garment idea just for creating unique finishes. This is one of my favorites. It is a ladies medium, so it's a little bit thinner, or a little bit slimmer of a cut. So it's going to follow those same guidelines I had done with the ladies' medium garment before, so where I'm finding the center of my shirt. I'm going 2 inches down and about 2 inches over from the center to find where my pocket should start. Again, the pocket is what we're looking for here instead of just where the top of the design is. So we want to make sure that pocket is where that 2 inches down, 2 inches over starts. And again, if you always ever have questions about where the design's actually going to go and how far over to place it for different size garments before you start to print, you can do that just by sizing up the space between the two and making sure there's enough distance between the two areas. And it's the center between the center of the shirt and the sleeve. So fashion film electric applies for 15 seconds at 320 degrees. Just going to change the timer there on the fusion and lock it down. And as you're selling to different schools and different markets, of course this foil finish can be used. This is the magenta color of fashion film electric, but there's a ton of different shades available. So it's definitely another option if you're looking to sell to both men and women this types of finishes and you want something different from just a standard. The foil works for that perfectly. Any questions, Jody, so far that I've missed?
No questions.
Okay, perfect. So as you're selling to schools, of course you're selling to more than just the high schools or the colleges. You're also selling to teams, to children, to elementary schools, and you're being able to offer different pocket designs and prints for them as well. So imagine you're selling to maybe an elementary school and you want to offer personalization on their garment, or if you're selling to maybe a cheer squad and you want to offer something different. This is actually a small child shirt. So the sizing for this graphic, of course, is going to be a bit smaller than some of the other pockets that we have. This, again, is another adult pocket that we'll print, so you can see the sizing difference. Of course, this large pocket print on such a small garment would take over half of the shirt. So when you're sizing graphics, most of them are the 4.3 inches wide and deep. This one we're looking at about 2.5 inches wide and about 3 inches deep for the graphic. And that's for the actual pocket part. Now to print this, of course, it's going to be a little bit difficult on a platen like this. So I'm just going to switch this out with my smaller platen. Using that knob at the bottom, lifting out my 16 by 20. And this is one of the benefits of the Fusion Heat Press, that it kind of allows you the versatility of being able to split open and thread if you're printing a lot of these garments very fast and efficiently. For me, with the smaller garments, it also makes it easier to line up the transfers since you don't have too much, all of your shirt is really kind of laying out there, you don't have too much mass. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and line this graphic up with my rulers. So with the kids' shirt, it's a little bit different from an adult garment. So for children's, where we're looking at about an inch down on the shirt, about an inch, about a half an inch over, or half an inch down and about an inch over for the graphic. Sure.
What materials are safe to print on a onesie for infants?
That's a great question. So for materials that are safe to sell to children or to print on onesies, you're looking for any product that's on the Stahls website or that is listed by the supplier as CPSIA certified. So for Cadworx, for Stahls materials, the Glitter Flake is one of those products. So it's going to allow you to print for children's apparel, the express print that we had used for the full color prints, fashion film electric, flock. So far all of the materials I've actually shown you here today, those are all available to print on children's apparel safely. And if you need those types of If you ever have a question, you're able to reference the Stahls website for that as well. Okay, so we've got our graphic lined up there. And I'm going to press it for the full 10 seconds for the glitter flake. Go ahead and adjust my pressure a little bit for the change in the platen. Anytime you can add an initial to a custom pocket, it really takes the design to the next level and offers something very different to your customers. So I have 2 more designs to cover and to show you, and it kind of steps more into groups, but of course can translate well into schools since everybody you're selling to in the school spirit market is likely in a group or in a market like that. So I'm going to show another print. So prints that are really trending right now, of course, are the chevrons. We've seen that with a lot of these designs, and I'm sure a lot of you are seeing that in your marketplace as well. Other designs that are really trending are tribal prints, floral prints, pastels, especially as the school season starts to hit. We're going to see more tribal patterns really come out and get unique. So I've actually just taken a tribal print that I had purchased from the internet, dropped that into that pocket fill using the Cadworx Live design software, and then had this transfer printed using CAD color or the CAD Print Express print. So I had a couple questions about solvent printers. So if you have a solvent ink printer, this opens you up to doing a lot of personalization with your own printer in-house, and you won't have to worry about ordering transfers. So I'm about eyeballing this, but of course I want to make sure it's where it needs to be. So we're going to go on this medium ladies garment, 2 inches down. I'm on the right side here. So we're looking at about 2 inches down, 2 inches over. Once I have it in place, I can slide my garment over. Make sure everything gets pressed nice and easy on the platen. I look like I'm straight there. It's close to. Of course, that's why the laser alignment tool would be a benefit if you're really printing a lot of these and want to make sure it's straight and lined up in the perfect pocket and very quick and easy to print multiples without having to align them. Express print, if you remember, is 15 seconds at 320 degrees. So if you're ordering these transfers from Stahls and we're printing them for you, for the pocket for this you're going to be looking at about $2.66. So that applies for both of the pocket prints we've printed so far using Express Print. So $2.66 for Stahls to print that for you. And then if you want to offer to print the patterns in multiple ways, the way a lot of pocket garments are really trending, of course, is that front and back. So I can take my garment and line up a back pocket design. I'm just going to center this on my platen, get some of the moisture and wrinkles out, and then I'll grab my Express Print back transfer. Again, I'm just going to go about 4 inches down the back of this shirt. And then I can print this for this full 15 seconds. So between Cadworx Live and all of the heat transfer materials you've seen here today, all of these designs, capabilities are available to you, whether you want to do full color or single color, glitter finishes, foils. A lot of opportunities for taking the faux pocket to the next level as the school season starts to come around. So I know the class is about the faux pocket and not so much regular pockets, but I just can't resist the opportunity to personalize a pocket with a monogram. Since it's a very popular marketplace and a very popular design element for printing and getting into this market if you're printing a lot of these pocket garments. So with that, this is actually one of the pennant sportswear oversized shirts. So if you guys have printed these in the past, or have seen these in the past, these are those oversized shoulder shirts. So this kind of shows you how popular the pocket and the faux pocket have gotten to where it's moved even into a hybrid of these oversized shirts. So I'm going to just print the front and the back and show you how to personalize These types of pocket garments, if you run into them or you want to be able to offer a full fabric pocket like this and customize it on top with CAD-cut heat transfer materials like the glitter flake. So one more time, I'm going to switch out this bottom platen to a 16 by 20. That way I can print the full oversized shirt. Okay, so I'll print the back of the garment first. Take my transfer off here. So the back of the garment is a little bit different. For the back of the garment, of course, when I go to print this, I want to be careful not to just lay my garment out directly on top of the platen. The reason being is the seam or the neckline here is a little bit thick, so it could get into the way and cause some inaccurate pressure for my transfer that's going to go right around this direction. So I am going to open it up and split it directly onto my heat press. If you don't have a threadable heat press, then I would recommend using a heat printing pillow inside of there. So once I have that loaded on, I'm just going to slide this over. Preheat to get some of the moisture and wrinkles out. This will also allow me to check my pressure. I don't have very much since I switched back to that platen. And then I'll preheat it one more time to get that moisture out. Okay, great. It looks like I'm at a medium pressure now from adjusting that. I'm going to pull this shirt back to the center of my platen and line the center of my oversized back print with this shirt. Again, I'm just going to find the center of my transfer by folding the non-sticky side to the non-sticky side. And find the center of my design, which is right about where the A starts. Then I'm going to line the center of that design up with the center of my shirt, so using the tag on the inside of the collar to find the center. Glitter flake has that sticky backing, so I can stick it down to the garment. Slide this over the same way I did for the preheat. I'm going to preheat half of the shirt, and then I'll preheat the other half. That way the full 23-inch design that we're seeing here is getting the full application. If you haven't started printing these oversized shirts yet, the templates are also built into Cadworx Live for these. So if you want to print the pockets and these shirts very easily without having to go through a lot of design work yourself and setting up the templates, they are already in there under the shoulder-to-shoulder prints file in their templates. So I'm just going to slide this back over to the other side. Preheat it to get the other side applied for the full 10 seconds. Once that's complete, I've got a completed design there. And then we can go ahead and personalize the front of the pocket as well with a complementing glitter flake material. So with this specific design, when I go to print the pockets, obviously the pocket of the shirt is going to present a variety of challenges for me as I'm decorating as far as getting an accurate pressure on the garment. So I want to make sure that I'm going to get an accurate print on my entire monogram, so I would recommend using something like a heat printing pillow on the inside of the garment, and that'll make sure whenever we go to press this down, this is a trick that's used a lot with like split front jerseys or zip up jackets. So when I go to lay this out on my press and print my pocket, the thick seams here of the pocket that have been sewn on are going to fall down into the pocket, and my transfer is going to raise up. So now that I've added this pillow, I will have to adjust my pressure a little bit. So I'm just going to give it a preheat and check it a little bit. You can hear kind of some of the air from the pillow coming out. And now I can line up my monogram. So one thing I did do, and I want to caution you if you're going to start personalizing with this and using CAD-cut glitter flake material for this, is just to use a little bit thicker line for your monogram. So if your print, like I had showed the pocket a little bit earlier, that had a very, very thin monogram. This specific material would be very difficult to weed using glitter flakes. So again, I just increased the thickness of this so it would be a little bit easier, would stick and stay, and would cut well. If you're going to do this type of artwork and cutting these thin lines, I would recommend a 60-degree blade as well. That'll help to increase your success with it. So I'll print this again just full 10 seconds for CAD-Cut Glitter Flake. And CAD-Cut Fashion Film also allows you to be able to cut that fine detail if you're worried about it and you absolutely want that font. So just to show you a different alternative, this would be kind of like the CAD-Cut Fashion Film that will allow you to cut that very fine detail if you need that in your monogram. It gives you the same thin lines that we were seeing with Express Print. Jody, have I gotten any other questions throughout the session here?
There is one question. What material was used on the speaker shirts?
On the speaker shirts? The one that's on my shirt? Oh, the speaker's shirt.
I got it.
So the material that's on my shirt is actually just a CAD-Cut hologram, so it's just a different holographic foil material. I know it picks up probably pretty well under these lights. And at my camera. So it's a really great alternative to glitter flake material. Any other questions? Perfect. Okay, so I think we're starting to get close to the end of our time here, so I'm going to jump back to the main screen so you guys can see me here. If you have any additional questions, feel free to type those in now. Have we gotten any other questions come in yet, Jody? Okay, perfect. We'll stay on for a couple extra minutes in case you guys have questions. Feel free to chat those in and we'll answer them. But I appreciate each and every one of you coming on to the Stahls TV class today. I encourage you, as the summer starts to really hit, to get out to schools, to call those different departments, PTO members, booster members, and really show them what you can offer them for unique trending designs. If you already sell to schools, just kind of show them what's new and what's different, so that way everybody wants that new shirt that's really going to make them stand out and be very trendy this year. I'm Courtney Kibitza. Thanks for attending.